Hello, my name is Russ Strock. I thought I'd start this channel to sort of share my experiences to this point. As I approach 60 years old and am now retired, I spent more than 35 years in a professional career as a biologist, a fisheries biologist. And I've taken up a number of sustainable activities or activities that I think, leave this planet in a little bit better condition than I found it, and thought I would share some of those hobbies and interests with you and see if there's interest in furthering these topics, learning more about them, and just sort of, expressing and sharing some of the wins and losses that I've had along the way. So the three topics that I thought I would start out with, sort of on this this theme of sustainable, suburban. I live on 2.5 acres here in Southeast Michigan, and I was single for the last 7 years or so, and I'm now engaged. So my fiance and I were going to call this channel SSS for Sustainable, Suburban, and Single, but we'll have to figure out another description for the last S. I thought I would begin to talk just a little bit about some of the key areas, hobbies, interests that I thought I would share that might be able to inspire and motivate you to take on some of these activities or other related interests, or share some of those that I might not have touched on. One of them is beekeeping, and that's probably the largest part of today's video. But I also would like to share at some point perhaps some winemaking tips that I've learned over the last 7 or 8 years. And also another one would be I added solar panels to the house just about 4 or 5 years ago, and I have all the information here that I think could be useful to folks who have been just kind of scratching the surface and toying with the idea of potentially adding some solar panels to their property. So I also have landscaped these 2.5 acres in such a way that allows wildlife movement, corridors for deer and other animals to move through my property, which I enjoy viewing and seeing. But let me start out today with the beekeeping. Like many people, I think that that interest began just as a kernel of an idea of something that I might like to do. And about 7 years ago, I was walking through Costco and I saw one of those kits, and I still have the box over here in my closet. And I almost bought one of those beekeeping kits just to get started. I let it go a year or two, and then I finally did. And that really was just the beginning of an adventure, a whole new sort of area of exploration at a time where my schedule was packed between childcare, work, and other interests, and other hobbies, outdoor hobbies and indoor responsibilities. But I slowly chipped away at it. I've learned a lot over the last 7 years. And as a retired biologist, I kind of bring that biological and habitat perspective to the entire beekeeping hobby. So at this point, I'll just mention by way of an overview, I have 7 hives this year that are going into winter. I keep them in the Langstroth boxes. I'd like to keep them in double deep boxes, but I don't have a lot of equipment. I try to keep things very simple, very cost effective to the extent I can. I'm sitting here among what is a major sort of investment of time and some money in the beekeeping hobby. My neighbor and I built 9 of these deep body boxes. He has a shop across the street. A lot of the wood has been sort of repurposed from other uses. I ordered 100 frames online, and I built those frames this winter. It only took me 3 days to sort of construct 100 of these. I'm trying something new this year too. My neighbor and I built these nucleus boxes. We built 2 or 3 of these, and I'm going to try rearing queens this year in some of these nuke boxes. Something's a little sticky on here. I also put a divider in here. I made a divider so that I can have sort of smaller mating nukes for the queens. And I can get into all of this in some detail. Let me wipe this goop off my hand. But I just thought as an overview I would just start by introducing some of these activities and then perhaps making more videos on the different topical areas with a higher level of resolution. In addition to the beekeeping, the solar panels, I also have been experimenting with winemaking. And once again, all of this is sort of with the goal of keeping it simple, keeping it sustainable and relatively inexpensive. I bought this property here, just a suburban 2.5 acres, and happened to have mulberry trees on it. And we let those mulberries just drop to the ground for years, and the wildlife, birds and deer and turkeys and so on would eat them. And then I decided to try making mulberry wine. And so, again, in a future video, I'll probably describe some of the winemaking steps. I have several recipes that I've created. I also put together with my fiance these labels, which I can sort of get into as well. But my name again is Russ Strock, and so we call it Strock Estates. We just do this as a hobby. There's no sale or anything like that. But my fiance made these beautiful labels. And there's a story, too, that goes with this. We describe on the back here, on the bottle, we've got another label that describes sort of the story of Strock Estates. A little bit of actually about what I'm covering here today. Here's another label. This one happens to be Strock Cherry. So I mix the mulberry with Montmorency cherry juice that I sometimes get from Costco. And it makes a really, really nice wine. Anyway, the reason I bring up the wine is no matter how much of the wine I make, I just can never make enough. Family and friends absolutely love it. And so I thought I would, at some point, bring that to this channel and see what y'all think. Give me some feedback. So I'm not actually going to dive into any of these topics too heavily today, but I thought that in the future I might make a half a dozen or so videos specifically on the beekeeping, another batch on the winemaking, and then maybe get into the solar panel sustainability issue. I have all the records and I've got all the experience here to sort of describe that entire process and what it involves, both the benefits and the trade-offs, and sort of what I'm seeing today after about 4 years. So if you have interest in these kind of topics and the lifestyle as a whole, the sustainability of it, the simplicity of it, the suburban part of it, give me some feedback or share other topics that you think might be of interest on this channel. So with that, I'm going to wrap up and stay tuned for future information.